We ready?
Let's do it.
Good morning. We're calling the Recommending Committee of June 20th, 2023 to order. Our first item regarding the open meeting law, Ms. Luann.
You have 2 members present, so you do have quorum.
And Councilwoman Seaman requested or had another obligation this morning, so let me know early on. So she is excused. Item number 3 is for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the June 5th, 2023 Recommending Committee meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Please post. And that passes. Item number 4 is bill number 2023-14 for possible action. Amends LVMC Chapter 4.24 regarding the residential construction tax for park construction to update the provisions for determining the amount of the tax for each residential dwelling unit. This is proposed by our current city manager, Jorge Cervantes. Mr. Floyd, I believe I'll turn this over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. Seth Floyd for the record. I'm actually going to turn it over to Michael Cunningham, our building official, who's going to give you a quick overview of the RCT, what we're doing to change it, and what it can be used for.
Thank you.
All right, good morning, everyone. For the record, Michael Cunningham, building official for the City of Las Vegas. The bill you have in front of you is for the residential construction tax. These are the fees that we collect every time a building permit is issued. The funds go towards park upgrades for individual specific wards. As I mentioned, it is based on each individual permit. Currently, our fee is set at 36 cents per square foot. This bill is proposing to follow state law, which would base the fee off of 1% of the stated valuation or $1,000, whichever is less. And so that would be the proposal at this time.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yeah.
The first question, I understand this is in line with the other jurisdictions in Southern Nevada. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I meant to mention that. So the county adopted it in 2019, and Henderson has adopted it as well.
And then the second question is, I know it's intended for park usage. Could you give us some examples of what the park, how we spend that money currently, and what are the limits of how we spend that money?
So I don't know that there's any limits. I know it has to be used in the park, so you can use it to upgrade park equipment, add new equipment, replace old equipment, and any modifications to the park to bring them up to date.
Mr. Chairman, Tom Perigo for the record. I can help add a little bit more to that answer. The residential construction tax money, when it comes into the city, has to have a nexus between where the money was generated and where it came and where it's being spent. In other words, if you do a project in a park district, then the money that comes from that project needs to be spent within that park district. And the way we define those is by ward. So any project that's done in a specific ward, then that the money that comes from that project from these permit fees has to be spent on park projects within that ward, so that the people who generated the demand for additional parks and those types of services in those new projects then are also contributing to providing the types of recreational amenities to service that area.
And then I just want to put this out there for people who may be watching. So once that funding from the RCT, the residential construction tax, comes into the City of Las Vegas, staff in conjunction with the elected representative, the city council person for that ward, kind of decide how that money gets allocated per ward within the parks. Is that accurate?
That's right, Mr. Chairman. So as we prepare the capital improvement plan every year, we'll look at the funding balance in the residential construction tax money that's in that ward and get input from the council member who's hearing from their constituents what types of projects are needed in that ward, combined with our parks department and planning and other people who have input, and then a decision is made as to how best to use those monies to meet those needs.
And for this particular ordinance, did we solicit any feedback from any of the development community?
For the record, Michael Cunningham, building official. We reached out to our typical stakeholders, so I mentioned it at the NCA, which is the Natural Contractors Association. We reached out to a few of the apartment developers in town that we work more commonly with, and then we mentioned it at the Home Builders Association's monthly meetings as well. And we sent out an industry notice to anyone that signed up for our membership industry announcements.
Thank you very much. Those are all the questions I have. Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Michael, what was the feedback from them? I know we pushed the information out one directional. Did we get anything back?
For the record, Michael Cunningham, the only feedback we received so far was about allowing them time to account for this additional fee. So we had talked about giving a 6-month effective date. So if it goes forward and it gets adopted, we give them a 6-month window. So for any projects that they've already budgeted for, those projects won't be impacted. It would be for future projects coming down the line. Other than that, the only other feedback was to ensure that we're consistent in how the fees applied. We've talked to the IT department already, and we can ensure that the fee is going to be consistent. It's going to be 1% of the valuation or $1,000, whichever is less, and we'll use the customer stated valuation, so there shouldn't be any confusion to the customers.
That seems reasonable.
And just, if this bill is adopted, it'll be eligible, if this moves out of recommending committee, it'll be eligible for adoption at the July 19th, 2023 City Council meeting, and the fee would be in place 6 months post July 19th, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. This is a time set aside for public comment. I don't see anybody here. Ms. Luann, is there anything? Okay. Anybody at all? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
And please post. And bill number 2023-14 will move out of recommending committee and is eligible for adoption at the City Council meeting of July 19th, 2023. Moving on to bill number 2023-15 for possible action, authorizes on a temporary basis the waiver of business license application fees for certain types of new alcoholic beverage licenses for qualifying businesses to be located within a downtown area referenced at 2 at the Las Vegas Brewery Row. This is sponsored by Councilwoman Olivia Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Seth Floyd for the record. Not a whole lot to add on. This is an existing program that we are extending for some additional time to offer this incentive to future breweries in the Brewery Row. It is administered by EUD, but business licensing imposes the fee and the waiver as part of the business application process.
Wonderful, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Tom Perigo for the record. I can add a little bit to that as well. When we started this program, we're putting a lot of effort into promoting Brewery Row and all the things that are happening in the Arts District. And we heard from a lot of new businesses that some of those upfront fees are very challenging because it takes a little bit of time to start generating revenue to be able to pay for all that stuff. And so we've done a number of things to try to alleviate some of those upfront fees. But over time, as they get going and their business is generating revenue, then some of these fees are either paid back or and again, I'm talking about a series of things that we've done. So in order to promote and continue to help these businesses get started, this is something that we believe is worth extending.
One question that I'd have is, this is for 2 years, if I'm remembering correctly?
Mr. Chairman, Peter Lowenstein for the record. So yes, this will extend it to May 19th of 2025.
So one request would be to report to the council every 6 months on the usage of this particular waiver, if that's okay.
That's fine. Do you want a formal agendized item at the council? Or just, informal?
Email report, just because I'm curious to see if it works or not.
Thank you.
Okay. And this is, unless there's any other questions. Public hearing? Anybody? Anybody? Anybody else? Okay. I will entertain a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve item number 5.
And please post.
That was super fast. What happened? It was approved.
Okay, this was approved.
Unanimous.
Out of recommending committee, so bill number 2023-15 will move out of committee and be eligible for adoption at the City Council meeting of July 19th, 2023, which brings us to item number 6, citizen participation. The public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the committee. Anybody here for public comment? Hearing and seeing none, we can adjourn. Thank you, everyone.